Hello and welcome to episode 144 on the Everyday Joy podcast. I'm your host, Joy Ravella. Hey, I'm really looking forward to all of this week's conversations. We are going to take a little bit of an intellectual route. And I don't know about you, but I'm a big feelings, heart, emotion kind of person. And logic and dissecting things and looking at things through an academic lens doesn't always sit right with me. But I have learnt that being able to apply logic and reasoning to the faith we have only makes it stronger. So keep that in mind as we get into today's conversation with Jackie.
Wise men and women are always learning, always listening for fresh insights. That's Proverbs 18, verse 15 from the Message Bible.
I have got the incredible Jackie here in studio.
Woo! Hey, Joy, it's so good to see you.
Yeah, it's actually good to see physically you because yes. I think with the whole work from home situation and just crazy life schedules, we actually haven't seen each other's faces for a while. You're looking amazing.
Thank you so
Love
much.
That denim jacket, the distressed look. It's so you. It works.
Thank you very much. You look fresh and beautiful, and I love the in optimism spring sort of dress that's going on.
You know what's funny? It's I think on the days when I need like a bit of a boost, that's when I wear my most colourful outfits because I need to somehow bring myself to a place where I feel that joy, feel that positivity. So I think off the bat, as we're recording this, it's been a bit of a big week for me and nothing bad, but it's just been a lot of stuff happening one after the other. Checking in with you, Jack, how are you going?
I'm doing really, really well. Now, if you say you've had a big week, I'll take your big week and I'll raise you a big month. Like I actually this is my first time back to the offices here at the station in about a month. I actually had some, fairly major surgery early in July. I'm wearing real clothes for the first time, showing my face back in the office, feeling a little bit flustered, feeling a little bit not quite back on board yet. So I think we're all there today.
Yeah, and then what a day back in the office. Bang, straight into recording podcast episodes.
But, I have to say, this is one of my favourite things, and I'm so glad I get to do it with you as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We planned this way back before you went for your surgery because this week in Australia is Book Week.
Book Week!
And we've talked... I think we've talked at length about your home library and also just our love for reading books. I wish I had more time, but I did actually smash out a book over the weekend.
Yes.
So for you listening, in honour of Book Week, yes, we're going to unpack a Bible verse every day using the same 3 questions, but Jackie has very kindly woven in some resources and some books that you can take a look at if any of these conversations resonate with you. And today, I just love the conversation point. Proverbs 18:15, wise men and women are always learning, always listening for fresh insights, which beautifully captures the whole theme for this week. It's about learning and growing. What are your first impressions of this one, Jack?
Yep, absolutely. I love this one because first impressions, I get to sit back and go, I'm so wise. Like, I read so much.
It's exactly how you sound.
It's exactly how I sound, right? But I have to say, this is actually one of my favourite verses. We've talked so much about this. Not only do I love books, like if I was in The Sound of Music, the few of my favourite things song would be really short because it'd just be books. Like, what is one of my favourite things? Books.
That's it. Yeah.
And I love learning. I love the challenge of acquiring new knowledge or, particularly being able to do something that I wasn't able to do before. Yeah. So, favourite verse, favourite concept, love learning, and I particularly as you said, it's Book Week. I particularly love using books to learn.
Yeah. So. My first impression of this verse is that learning is a part of the wisdom process.
Yes.
That it's very hard to find someone who is both wise and closed off to learning. In fact, that person is described in the Bible as a fool.
Yes. Doesn't get clearer than that, does it?
And, books are an incredible way to learn. And maybe you're listening and you're thinking, Joy, I have dyslexia. Joy, I don't have access or the time to read books. And what we're doing all of this week is saying, well, this is a way for you to gain that knowledge, to gain that insight. But there's so many ways to grow in wisdom, to learn. Some people are hands-on learners.
Yep.
Some people love watching YouTube tutorials. I mean, whatever works for you, so long as we're learning and we're growing, listening for fresh insights. What does this verse, Jack, tell you about who God is or what matters to him?
I think this one says that we never actually get there. There's always more to learn. Like, we're never it and a bit. We've never arrived until we get to heaven with him. And, you know, he opens up that whole world of knowledge to us. Yeah. There's so much we don't know about our world. And there's so much that, you know, how does it work? Why do people do what they do? Why do they believe what they believe? And only God knows everything. It comes back to that, you know, hey, I designed it all. I've set it all up. You guys are great. Off you go, do your thing. But I've got the key to the kingdom, so to speak.
I think also, I mean, I'm not a highly intellectual person in the sense that I don't actually need everything to add up for me to have faith or belief in something. My husband, on the other hand, he's quite intellectual and he's very logical in the way he thinks and he sets things out. And it's been an interesting journey for both of us. I think I touched on this last week. It's been interesting because we both bring both halves to it, this sense of like faith and intuition and just trusting and believing in what God has. But my husband's really helped show me that when I apply scripture to it, when I apply theology to it and robust ideas and principles, it actually strengthens my faith and it actually gives me a greater sense of confidence in who I am, who God is, because I've got this really solid knowledge, like head knowledge, I'm pointing to my head, but I've also got heart knowledge as well. And I think when they come into alignment, it's a really powerful place to be.
Oh, so do you mean you actually learn from Ari?
Yes. Yes.
Imagine that.
I've also taught him some stuff too. Taught him to let go and to just not try and make sense of it all, because you never will.
Yeah,
we're not
that's
God.
Faith.
Yeah, yes, that is
Right.
faith.
Yeah.
Making sense of what you don't always get answers for.
Yeah. And it's that beautiful juxtaposition that, you know, when you get into relationship with somebody who doesn't think exactly the same way as you, and we are definitely going to touch more on this later in the week, that you can learn from them, and they have things to offer you. They can even if you don't change your mind or, you know, do something differently, you now have a more rounded view. You've learned, you know, you're becoming wise. You're listening for fresh insights, like the verse says, and I think that's amazing.
I think for me, another thing this verse tells me about who God is he's saying, don't be afraid to go digging for answers.
Right.
I think for me, and you know what, I'll be honest, I struggle a little bit with this. I've had friends and people in my life who have really tried to deconstruct their faith, and that's a buzzword these days, and
Absolutely.
you can look it up. But I've also seen a lot of those individuals become quite disillusioned as well, and they just lose themselves in the process of trying to deconstruct something. And so I think I've always been a little hesitant to dive too deep into that, because I'm afraid of what I'll find on the other side, being totally honest here.
Yep.
But this verse is challenging as well. It's saying, hey, I am a God of love. I'm a God of kindness, but we also believe in a God who makes sense.
Yes.
And who's highly intellectual as well.
Yeah.
When you just look at the way the world works and nature and the laws of physics and science. And so I think it's just almost for me saying, don't be afraid to apply your mind to your faith journey as well, because you'll find me in there as well.
And I think there's something to be said for don't be afraid to question it. And I think that's getting those fresh insights as well, because one thing that can come out of that is you actually affirm your faith and you actually affirm, you know, what you believe, and because you can look at those insights that other person brings and say, well, that's not me. And it's not me because... And it, you know, sharpens those critical thinking skills and sharpens those, because we're not meant to always just accept what we're told. Critical thinking is a skill, and it's a really important skill. And we can apply it to our faith. We don't have to blindly accept, but we can question it, and we can do it in a way that's really careful and really loving and really kind to ourselves and to what we're learning. So if you're feeling, a little bit maybe like, oh, I don't know where my faith is at the moment, read something that affirms your faith, if that's what you want to do. If you're curious about other points of view, if you want to learn more about that, absolutely go and read something. But do it in a way that respects your beliefs, that respects your faith. You don't have to believe everything you read. You can read something and say, I don't agree with it. It's not me. Great. But I've learned something from that process.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I've got a question for you. And the question is this: when was the last time you read a book? Maybe for you, you read a lot. But I'm specifically asking, when was the last time you read a book? Not an article, not a social media post, not an extract, a whole book. Now, I'm not saying that that's what you need to do next, but what I am suggesting is carving out time to expand your horizons by choosing something to read. And a great place to start is the Bible. In fact, there's a book in the Bible. It's one of my favorite stories to read, and it in itself is a whole story. It's a whole book. It's got amazing characters. It's got people you can relate with. It's got some drama. It's got some flair. It's got some things that'll make you think. It's the book of Ruth. It's a love story. It's one of my favorites. It's only 4 chapters, I believe. It'll take you about 20 minutes, but you can say to yourself, yeah, I've read a book there. But not only that, it's words found in the Word of God. Maybe for you, you're actually really challenged by this idea we threw out around reading beyond. Maybe today could be the day you purchase or hire a book that's going to extend your knowledge in another area, that's going to get you to think about things in a deeper way. There are so many incredible resources, so many incredible books that are designed to help you dive deeper into your faith. So maybe that's something that you can make a commitment to today. Well, that wraps up today's episode on the Everyday Joy podcast. Over on the Everyday Joy Facebook group, I'm going to ask for your recommendations on books to read. So if you want to get some inspo, head on over there and be part of that conversation. The links to the Facebook group is in the description below. I look forward to catching up again tomorrow.